What's up, everybody? Out here tonight getting started on another little project. I noticed earlier today, Saturday, that my water pump is leaking a bunch of water all over the ground. So you can tell by my nails here, I just painted my new water pump and my new fan clutch deal. So now since I got leaks, y'all get another truck and mechanicin video. Now we'll go ahead and start taking things out and getting it all prepped and ready for the new water pump to go in while the paint's drying. The first thing we'll have to do is get this stuff out of the way, our air intake here and here. And then I'll have to drain whatever little bit of water is left in the system and take our radiator out. Yay! Remove our radiator hoses. Now that we've got all the bolts loosened in our, our clutch fan thing, and we've got the bolts out of our caution fan shroud, we can do this bit of shuffle thing where we take them both loose at the same time. Now after we take the fan off this clutch here right quick, we'll loosen the tension off of this belt, pull the belt off, and then this little pulley here will fall off of there. Too bad our water pump's bad already. The bearing in the end feels fine, but you see you got a little weep hole here, and there's another one on the other side. And when the pump goes bad and the water's like blowing by where it's supposed to go, it'll start leaking out of here. And in my case, when you dump water in the radiator, it pours straight out that hole in the bottom of the water pump. So that's not good. And now that we're down here, we can reach our last hose clamp. Yay! I think I can just remove my tensioner here and leave this other bracket that holds my alternator in place. But this is definitely in my way. Because like earlier this week I had this heater hose over here, the one that runs back to the heater core, one of the ones that run back there. I had it develop a big bubble down here near the connector and explode, and then I had to stop and take care of that, so I replaced both of those heater hoses. And then a few days later, this little connector right here, this T in the middle, it cracked and blew apart. So I got a new T and new heater hoses. And now we'll have a new water pump. Yay. Alright, a few hours later here, I got the water pump removed, and I took the whole assembly holding this, my AC compressor, and the power steering pump out. I'm going to try to clean that bracket all up, and I've had a new power steering pump for a while that I've been avoiding putting on. Now seems like a good time to put it on. But anyway, back to this. This has been a lot of fun. This took so long because everything went nice and smoothly all the way around these old bolts except for that one. There's always something. So it was stuck here. I couldn't get the water pump off because that bolt was going through this hole right here, and it had a few threads in the water pump, so I couldn't pull it off. So I got this hyper tough, my RotoZip wannabe Walmart tool. This is like 20 bucks at Walmart. It's pretty cool to get you all into whatever these things are, the little rotary tools, but it's definitely better to go get one of them $40 RotoZips. I'll be doing that sometime. This thing's pretty cool, except for their locking mechanism is just junk up here. It's really, really flimsy and loose, and you can't get your tools very tight, so they get loose and wobble around, and then you gotta stop and tighten it back up. But other than that, it's a really cool little thing for 20 bucks. Anyway, I took that and my little diamond burrs over here, and I just sat for quite some time and back and forth with different tips and stuff, and just weakened this sidewall up here, trying to get this thing to like spread open a little so I could pull it off. And after I did that for a while, I was able to like put pry bars back here and work back and forth and get it to come off the stud. You see the stud bent over a little. So now that that's out of the way, yeah, it's probably working just fine. No problem there. I just have to expertly catalog this part over there. Expertly cataloged. Alright, now I get to try to take this bolt out. And after I finally get that out, I can go cleaning all this up and getting ready to put the new water pump on and start putting things back together. Yeah! Yeah! That'd be cool. It's been a while since I was putting things together. I think before I go trying to twist this out of here, I'm gonna spray it with some PB Blaster and heat it up with this little wannabe torch I've got here. He's a little guy. Now that it's real good and hot, we'll spray our PB Blaster all up in it, and it should absorb into the metal a lot better than if it was cool. Also, heating it does that expandy, contracty. This thing's steel, that thing it's in is aluminum. They're dissimilar. They love to get all oxidized and like stuck together like they're welded. So that all helps break it loose. Then hopefully we can break it loose. And the next thing I'll do here, I'll take my cool little rotary tool thing and put a sandpaper bit on it and clean all this old gasket up, and I'll clean all this gunk and oxidation off of here too, might as well. I don't know if I mentioned, but this cool little set of all these diamond burrs and sandpaper wheels and stuff was like $14 on Amazon. You sure got to keep them all in their cases though. I mean, whew, they are tiny. Well, this is pretty cool. This is the first time I've had a little rotary rotozip 1B tool during a gasket cleaning process. It's definitely worth having one of these around in your mechanic's toolbox, even if it's just for the little sanding wheels, sandpaper wheels, and cleaning up them gasket surfaces and all that oxidized ugly mess in there. If you can tell, it's made a huge difference in a short amount of time. We're finally making a little bit of progress here. I got my new water pump all gooped up around my 2 water ports that go in and out of the motor there with the RTVs, the blue RTVs. And I did some jumbling of bolts around, and we got everything. We got a bolt in every hole and plenty of threads on everybody, and we're torqued down to our 13.5 pounds. See here on this side, this is where we broke a bolt, and this is all buried underneath stuff, my big bracket and everything. So I took my bolt from this side and I swapped it over here, and on this side is this bolt here is the same thread pattern. It's one of the 4 that hold my AC compressor on, and I just piled up some nuts and washers until it was the right length here, and now that'll work fine until I go buy another bolt for this or whatever. And I can also like get to this bolt at any time when everything's all back together. I can still crawl up in there and pull that out and swap that out later. But right now it's getting late and I don't have time to go to the store. Probably our next step here would be finish up cleaning our big brackety bracket thing and pop that into place. Now we're moving over here to my big accessory bracket deal. This has got my old power steering pump on it still, so I need to pull this pulley off, then I can take the few bolts out that hold this thing on, finish cleaning my bracket up and make it all beautiful and stuff, and install the new power steering pump. So to get started with that, we got to get one of these cool little puller tool kits and get all our bits over here. See, to start with, here's the pulling part. See, we got our different, the puller bit fits on one side and your pulley fits on the other side. So you stack in there just like so. And then we take this collar, slide that over, and now we should be able to get our 2 wrenches on here and tighten up on this thing, and it'll pull this pulley off of that shaft. Now you have a pulley removed from your pump. From here we'll take these 3 big old bolts out, and we'll have this part all barren and ready for me to clean up and put a new pump in. Yeah! Now we're back in the house here a minute. I got some paint drying on that big brackety thing. So I got everything buttoned up on the truck and we're ready to put that bracket back on. So while we're getting ready, while it's drying and in between coats, we'll go ahead and attach our fan to the fan clutch. This part is the front and it faces forward, and your fan clutch installs like this. So this thermostaty springy thing goes forward. Forward. Where'd my front go? Yeah. Forward. Forward. It's important you don't bolt the fan up backwards, because it doesn't cool very good then. Now the kit comes with new bolts, but my old bolts have these little lock washers, and they're a little bit longer, so I'm going to use my old bolts. And this is some of that red Loctite, the high strength stuff. Because these are bolts that are not easy to get to, and they sure are spinning around really fast all the time. Alright, so I was looking up the torque specs for these 4 bolts, and all over the internet the only thing I can find is the torque for the 4 bolts that connect the fan to the fan clutch on a like 2000 some odd and newer Ford, which has 8mm bolts, and those torque to 18 foot-pounds. So I can't find anything anywhere about what these torque to, and I know it took more than 18 foot-pounds to take these loose. These also aren't 8mm bolts on my application on this 92. These are 1/2-inch bolts. So what I did is I just tightened it back down with the same wrench that I took it loose with, and I made sure to get it about as tight, if not a little bit tighter, than it was for me to break it loose, which felt probably like closer to 30 or 40 foot-pounds. So yeah, I'm not sure. If anybody can figure out what those are actually supposed to be torqued to, let me know. But I looked all over and I can't find them anywhere, so I just made sure to be good and tight. They definitely, I feel like they take a lot more than, what did it say, 18 foot-pounds for the 2002 Ford fan to clutch. Yeah. Now we'll go back to mounting really pretty stuff to the motor. Things are looking a little better. We got our bracket all fixed up, our power steering pump's back attached to it, our lines are hooked up. I dropped the AC compressor back on top here with all 3 bolts minus the one that's holding the water pump on. And I put the belt tensioner back on. Now we can come down here and put this pulley on. This is what it looks like a few months later when I finally got to finishing this video and making this little outro bit. You see my paint still looks good and it doesn't leak. So that about wraps up our little water pump replacement. Super fun video, exciting to watch, I'm sure. Thank you guys for watching, and yeah, all the other YouTube stuff.